I wasn't filming it.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Rabelais. It's my pleasure to welcome you to meeting St. Kilda and tonight's launch of Who Gave You Permission by Manny Waks with Michael Visontay. Copies of the book are available for purchase behind the counter in the front, and later this evening, Manny and Michael will sign copies right around the camera here. So we'll set up a station for them. It's an honor to introduce David Marr, who is here to launch the book tonight. David Marr wears many hats as a writer, biographer of Patrick White, author of titles that include Panic, The High Price of Heaven, The Hinson Case, and 5 quarterly essays, most recently Faction Man, Bill Shorten's Rise to Power. Please join me in welcoming David Marr.
Thank you. So many familiar faces in this room. I've known the Waxes off and on for about 50 years, and the thing you learn about them almost at once is how blunt they are. Blunt comes with the territory of the Wax family. And after my account of the yeshiva scandal appeared in The Guardian in 7,000 carefully crafted words, Manny delivered the blunt verdict to me. He said, "This is the best version so far." And he turned out, as he has on so many other questions, to be right, because this version that we're launching tonight is better in every way. This is a book that will be read around the world. It is fierce and unflinching, and where it needs to be, tactful. I see the hand of my old friend and colleague, Michael Visontay, in the tact, as well as the beautiful clarity of the text and of its construction. I admire this book very much, and congratulations to both of you on it. But can I say that this is not really a Jewish story? Pedophiles are everywhere. They're at Knox, and they're at St. Pat's Ballarat, and they're at Yeshiva, because boys' schools are their hunting ground. And there's nothing unique about Yeshiva's response when complaints began, denial and cover-up. All faiths pursue the same strategies with the same point: hide the criminals, save the institution. There's nothing really to choose between Rabbi Groner and Bishop Mulcairns of Ballarat. Both brought all their authority to bear to prevent abused children and their parents from submitting the scandals of the faith to the state. They saw themselves as both spiritual and civil rulers of their domains, the deciders of all questions of faith and law, men in total control. Catholics hide this elegantly in canon law. Chabad was more candid, more bluntly Jewish. They have a name for it, Mezira. What is uniquely Jewish about this story is that they did it so well. It was powerfully well organized. The taboos in yeshiva were more powerful even than the taboos in the exclusive brethren. And let me tell you, I've done some work about the exclusive brethren, and they know about the ways in which to wrangle their followers there. But Chabad was better than that. Yeshiva was better than that. And it was against this extraordinarily well-organized power, the interlocked power of families and faith, that Manny and his father, Zephaniah, decided to speak out. I have no end of admiration for their courage. As I wrote in The Guardian, the Wax name is all through this story. Tenacity runs in the family. Half measures, sorry, I'm laughing at my own jokes, which is a sin. Half measures aren't in their DNA. Their sense of right and wrong is strong and personal. Manny took his complaints about his abuse to yeshiva, and they wouldn't help. And the police wouldn't help either, and that is an important part of this story. So Manny did what a good Melbourne boy does when there is something to complain about. He went to The Age. And he spoke to Jewel Topsfield, who is now the Fairfax correspondent in Indonesia, and therefore, I'm sure, not here tonight. But the power of the press is one of the great themes of this book. 6 weeks after Manny spoke to Jewel Topsfield, David Cyprus, one of his abusers, was facing 16 counts of indecent assault and 13 counts of gross indecency involving 12 victims. That's what the press can do, ladies and gentlemen. And it is also the story about the power of cross-examination. Many people in this room have sat in the Royal Commission and watched religious leaders being cross-examined. It is the most delicious thing to watch. These are men who have never had to answer a question in their lives if they didn't want to. These are men whose obfuscation, whose wanderings, and I'm afraid to say at times, whose lies have been believed absolutely and have not been queried by their followers. And there they are in the witness box of the Royal Commission, being badgered by an extremely intelligent, highly informed, secular questioner who is demanding answers. I cannot tell you how exhilarating it is to watch the power of secular questioning of religious leaders who have misused their power. It is a wonderful thing to watch. It is wonderful to see them come apart. And I mean, I don't want to be unkind here, Manny, but the great sport, of course, is to watch George Pell being questioned because it is, you know, it is like a Mack truck being attacked by gnats who finally bring the whole thing to a halt. But it was also exhilarating to watch the rabbis involved in the scandals of yeshiva being questioned and facing, it seemed to me, for the first time, the necessity to make convincing explanation, and many of them, as you know, failed. When she was leaving office, torn down by Tony Abbott in a madness that consumed the Labour Party, her final press conference as Prime Minister, Julia Gillard said of the things she had done in office that the establishing of the Royal Commission was a nation-changing decision. And she has been proved right. And the lasting benefits of this Royal Commission are, of course, going to mean safer children. But because of the courage of people like Manny Waks and his willingness to tell his story, it is also going to mean something much more profound for this country, which is an end to the pretension of faith leaders to be, at the same time, leaders of their own little world in the questions of law. They were allowed to do this by politicians. They were allowed to do this by the police as well for a long time. Part of this story is the story of a new generation of police with very different attitudes to the question of child abuse. But because of the courage of people like Manny, who remains, I think it's true, isn't it, the only victim in Australia to have put his name to abuse in the Jewish world. Because of their courage, something else has been established in this country. There is a knowledge now in Australia of the dangers of allowing faiths to run their own affairs, and there is a knowledge amongst faiths that they do not stand outside the law. Manny says in the book that he is bruised but still standing. True. And I wish for this book a great success here and around the world, and I wish for Manny peace. Thank you.